If you have a friend or a family member or a neighbor who absolutely hates the Georgia Bulldogs and you want to see their head explode today, let them know this basic, simple fact. Kirby Smart, since 2017, against traditional rivals and Tennessee, is 33-2. That is his record against Georgia's rivals. And we're throwing Tennessee in there too because he is 9-0 against the Vols. They're not a rival. Neither is Alabama. I'm going to get to them in a second because I know the Alabama fans are rumbling, bumbling, stumbling their way into the comments section, trying to make everything about them, trying to make everything about Alabama football. Yes, Georgia has obviously had their struggles against the Tide. No one's saying they haven't, but they're not a rival either. However, they played Tennessee every year since Kirby Smart has been there, and so we're going to include them too. It's still a big game. The point I'm making is that this is still the golden era of Georgia football. This team is not as good as they have been in the past. They're still a top 5 team in the country. They are still beating their rivals, teams that used to beat Georgia pretty consistently 20, 30 years ago. So this video is basically talking about why Kirby Smart still is elite, why he still is one of the best coaches in college football. He has beat Alabama before. He's got to do that more consistently. I think that's clear, right? I'm not trying to just mosey over that, but when you look across college football and coaches are getting fired left and right, Auburn is completely irrelevant. They have been for a while. Tennessee's going to miss the playoff again. Florida's looking for a new coach again. South Carolina, they're upset with Shane Beamer. Clemson is ready to get Dabo out of town. LSU fired their coach. There's so much craziness going on because winning is tough. And Kirby Smart has consistently won year after year after year. And in the biggest games outside of Alabama, right? I'm going to say that again because I know they're all crying in the comment section about this. Kirby Smart gets the job done. Right? And if you want to say they have an Alabama problem, well, Tennessee has a Georgia problem. Auburn has a Georgia problem. Florida has a Georgia problem. Georgia Tech has a Georgia problem. Georgia is actually undefeated against all of those teams since 2021 when obviously they took it to the next level, won the national championship, won it the year after that too. But to the younger Georgia fans that didn't live through the 90s, and 2000s or even the 2010s, and they just know this last kind of decade or a little more of Georgia football, it hasn't always been like this. So I think you need to kind of understand how special these last few years are. And again, this team still has everything in front of them outside of an SEC championship. They need some help there to get to that point, but if they continue to win their games, they're going to be in the playoffs and they're going to have a chance to win another national championship. Do I think they're the number 1 team in the country? No. Do I think this is still a special, fun team that we're going to look back on, especially if they can hold off State, Texas, and beat Georgia Tech for the 9th year in a row, right? This is going to be a team that people should remember. And again, it goes back to, Kirby Smart knows the history. He played in the 90s when they could not beat Tennessee, when they had a really, really tough time beating Florida, when the Auburn game was up in the air every single year. You didn't know who was going to win. Sometimes it was the road team who won that game, especially in the 2000s. I think Mark Richt did a good job of turning that series around, and he beat Auburn, but Kirby's taking it to another level. They did lose in 2017, but Georgia's beat Auburn every year now since 2014. And Kirby Smart has beat them, 8? Is it 8 years in a row? 9 years in a row? That's just something that if you told a Georgia fan in the mid-90s, early 2000s, hey, there's going to be a time where they beat Auburn, Florida, and Georgia Tech, and let's throw Tennessee in there too, 5 consecutive years plus for some of those teams, they'd say you're out of your mind, right? So the younger Georgia fans need to realize how special this is. And if you're an older Georgia fan and you grew up when they weren't all that great and they just, again, couldn't get over that Tennessee bump or in Florida, right? Every year. The Georgia Tech game was, Thanksgiving was always stressful for a little bit there because you never knew who was going to win. Now, Georgia, even Mark Richt had his way with Georgia Tech. They still have a Georgia problem. The Dogs have owned that series since 2001, 2002, right? This century. And, they've got a chance to do it again. Again, 33-2 against their rivals, plus Tennessee, along with a national championship win over Alabama, a big-time win basically for the national championship against an Ohio State program. They've got another SEC title over LSU. So things are really good, and I just don't know of another coach in college football who is beating their rivals as consistently and in a dominant fashion like Kirby Smart is right now at Georgia. So it is still a special time. Anytime, even if it's a bad Florida team, beating them in any way, whether they're number 1 or number 100, right? It doesn't matter. It always means something, right? Beating Tennessee, even though they are completely scared of Kirby Smart in this Georgia program right now, you could feel it in the air. They can't score in Athens. They can't beat Georgia in their own building. Same with Auburn. I mean, it's become Kirby Smart he is the boogeyman. He is Darth Vader for a lot of these teams and a lot of these fan bases, and it's I don't know if it's going to stop anytime soon. Yeah, they went up and had a scare in Knoxville, but they find ways to win those games against Tennessee, and Tennessee finds a way to lose to Georgia. Most of the time, it's by double digits. Same with Alabama. Not Alabama. Same with Florida, right? We just want to get that in there. But even this year against the Gators, should have been another double-digit win. Beating Florida is big enough, right? But to beat them by double digits and send those fans home early in the fourth quarter, for the exits, that means a lot to the Georgia fan base. And beating Georgia Tech always matters, and they're going to have a real battle there in Atlanta. This is a good Tech team that is not outstanding defensively. Georgia is better than them, and I think they will prove it in Atlanta. But, those are still the games that matter most. I know Alabama fans are going to cry about that too, but Florida's the biggest game, then probably Georgia Tech, then Auburn. And then, it's up for debate whether it's Alabama where you play them in, sometimes the regular season, but many times in a 4A championship, or is it Tennessee that you play just about every year for a long time now. So that's up for debate. But right now, 33-2 against traditional rivals and another team that Georgia fans, many would call them a rival, especially if you live in North Georgia or Chattanooga or in Tennessee, right? So real quick, probably should have done this earlier. I do want to plug Sales Hatch. Listen, they can help connect your business with others. If you're in sales, you're looking to set up a meeting, right? Get your foot in the door with a prospective client. Sales Hatch can help you with that. They can middleman all that stuff for you. They get people in touch with one another. They do the emails, the cold calling. They do everything to help you out to get your foot in the door and get you face to face with other businesses so you can help your business grow. They do a lot for us. They've helped us in the past. They are a great partner based out of Roswell, right? So a local business. They love the dogs, right? And they are a really good company that helps others. So if you're a small business owner, you're looking to expand, meet others, work with other companies, Sales Hatch is for you. Make sure you are checking that out. So again, Kirby Smart is 9-1 against Auburn. He's 8-1 against the Gators. He's 7-0 against Georgia Tech and 9-0 against Tennessee. Again, since 2017. Okay, people are gonna say, "Well, why'd you start there?" I'm not holding any coach's first year against them because they did lose to Tennessee on the Hail Mary. Kirby Smart outcoached the Tennessee coach, Butch Jones, right? Rico McGraw kind of ruined that game for the Dogs there, and Josh Dobbs made a hero throw. Got to give it credit to him. So he lost to the Gators in 2020 and 2016. He lost to Georgia Tech in 2016 and Tennessee in 2016. But since 2017 and on, the past 9 years, Kirby Smart 33-2 against his rivals, plus Tennessee, because it's always fun to throw Tennessee in there because he is 9-0 since 2017 against the Vols, and that means something to a lot of Georgia fans. So yeah, he's got to get over that Alabama hump. Everyone knows that, but he does still have that win. I love when people say, well, Kirby can't beat Alabama, that Georgia can't beat Alabama. He has. They have before, pretty recently, right, on the biggest stage. But yeah, they've got to do it more, got to do it more consistently. But if you look at the big picture, what Kirby Smart has done at Georgia is it really is incredible. The guy could retire today and he's in the College Football Hall of Fame, two-time national champion, and he is absolutely winning the games that matter most of the time, especially against their traditional rivals. They all have a Kirby problem. They all have a Georgia problem. Those fan bases are absolutely livid with how Georgia is just mopping the floor with them, beating them most of the time by double digits, but now they're beating them in these tight games, and those people, they're livid about it. They're losing their minds because Kirby Smart he's that guy, still is, and he's got his Dogs in position to be in the playoffs once again and maybe win their third national championship in 5 years. They've got a long way to go. They got to clean up a lot, but at the end of the day, they're beating their rivals and they are still in contention for a national championship. Hope you learned something. You probably didn't. You probably know all this, but just breaking it down in case you forgot, Kirby Smart against his rivals in Tennessee, 33-2 since 2017. Nobody is beating their rivals better across college football than Kirby Smart. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you on the next video.